Hi, everybody. I'm Peter Burns, the chairman of the board of BurnsFunding, which is a venture debt lender. And I have been in business for 50 years. And the last part of my career has been focusing on funding fellow entrepreneurs. And I learned the hard way that banks are not our friends and that we had to figure out every available option to us out there in the alternative lending space. And I have been helping business owners navigate funding, cash flow, and growth strategies for 50 solid years. I'm going to be 70 years old next month, and they're going to have to carry me out because I'm going to continue to do this for the rest of my life. Today, I'll be answering your biggest business finance questions so you can avoid costly mistakes and scale with confidence. I'm going to read the question and answer the question. Number one, what separates the businesses that survive from the ones that fail within the first 5 years? Not to be, not to be critical, but 90% of you are not going to be there in the current form that you're starting the business 5 years from now. And that's not because your business is not a good idea. It's not because your business isn't being managed properly. It's not because your business doesn't have customers that want your service or product. It's because you run out of money. If you don't have access to the fuel in the tank, which is capital, if you don't have access to money, your business is going to stop, stagnate, and disappear within 5 years. I'm here to help you with this interview back and forth with questions to try to avoid that. Number two, how do you know when a business problem can be solved with more money versus better strategy? Well, it's very important you have a strategy or a thought process moving forward, but you also have to have the money to pay for that thought process and strategy moving forward. I can't I can't stress it more. Have to have multiple sources of capital. Debt is the best way to do it as long as you can repay it. And I happen to have the solution. I have created the better mousetrap to do that. Number three, what's a financial metric every entrepreneur should check every week, but most never do? Cash flow. You have to have the bills you have to pay this week and the money that you already have or will be getting in the form of deposits this week, and see if you have more than it costs you to pay out. If you have less than it costs you to pay out, you're developing a deeper and deeper hole you're going to have to climb yourself out of, and it's virtually impossible to rebound after you're in the hole too much. Number four, what's one decision that feels risky at the moment but usually pays off in the long run? I was taught a long time ago these words: always take the money. And I mean that because if you don't access the money when it's offered to you, it may not be there when you go back to try to get it again. Give you a good example. I had a client at BurnsFunding. I provided the access to the capital. He received the first tranche of capital. Then he was told that he had a whole bunch more waiting for him, but he had to pull the trigger. He demurred. He didn't pull the trigger. He came back a week later, and that commitment of funding was long gone, and he never got it back. This is because lenders only make money when they lend their money out and get it paid back. But in the meantime, they depend on the cash flow from the interest that they charge and the repayment terms of that. If you don't take what they offer, believe me, someone else is lined up to take it. So I say this in all sincerity: always take the money. Number five, how can entrepreneurs tell the difference between healthy growth and growing too fast? You'd think that growing too fast would be a good problem to have, when in fact it is not, because it burns through resources that you may not have time to replenish. There has to be a happy medium. Don't get greedy. Sell, service your debt that you have, Move slowly but surely towards the goal of a healthy business. You don't have to be a rabbit jumping out of the pot and grab all the money and grab all the business that you can. You don't need to do that. You can do it slow and steady wins the race. Remember the hare and the tortoise. Who won? The tortoise. Now, you may not like to think of yourself as a tortoise, but you also don't want to be the hare in the pot getting eaten. Okay, you've got to do it correctly. Okay, at what point does an entrepreneur need to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like a CEO? Well, the fact is, the CEO in a startup business and a new business is the employee and is everything. They don't have time or the funding to be able to hire a bunch of people to do everything. So you wear a lot of hats. Now, it's when you can work on the business instead of in the business that you're on your way to success. So when you have enough funding and business to justify hiring people to do those things that an employee does that you don't have to anymore, that's when you're on your way to success. Number 7, what's the biggest opportunity you think small business owners are overlooking right now? You have to watch the markets, find out what's available, find out what lines of credit and other forms of funding are available at this time. When world economies crash, when there are wars in foreign countries, when banks pucker up, that makes credit lending that much more difficult. So you've got to keep an eye on the current events. You have to find out what is continuing to be available. Having someone like me in your Rolodex, it's not a Rolodex anymore, I'm dating myself. Having someone like me available to be able to refer you to the people that we work with that provide the funding in different categories is very, very important. You can't do it by yourself. Trying to raise money while you're trying to work on your business are diametrically opposed. You simply can't do it. It's not possible. Number 8, when is taking on debt a strategic move instead of a desperate one? Good question. Most people that come to me are on the edge of being desperate. Now, I'm not going to position myself as the lender of resort. I am going to position myself to a strategist who can think of the best possible way to have debt capital be strategic. You need somebody like me who can read through the leaves and figure out what the best situation is. It's vitally important to have a strategy when you're taking on debt. If you can't repay that debt, you're worse than when you came to me needing the money. Now you can't pay the money that I gave it back. That's why I created the BurnsFunding method. Number 9, if you could audit any small business in 5 minutes, what are the first 3 things you look at? Cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. I'm not going to be able to reiterate it any better than that. Number 10, what's one belief about business or money that you used to have but completely changed your mind about? Borrow your way to profit. That's what I've always done and I always will do. It makes no sense to give away equity in your business when you can judiciously deploy venture debt to accomplish the goals and keep your whole business. These are my words of wisdom. Run with them.